Hello, my dear students. Today we will begin with a new lesson in English literature. Lesson number 5, A Stormy Day. A stormy day is a human animal relationship intuition. But before reading the story further, we will do this warm up exercise which is given on page number 61. Now look at these pictures and discuss that how these animals are useful for us. First picture, it's of camels. And about camels, we all know that they live in desert and can store water in their hump for several months. Camels also help to transport people and things in the desert. Now second picture, it's an oxen. Oxen help to plow fields and this animal is very beneficial for the people who are engrossed in farming. Third picture, it's of sheep. Sheep gives us wool. Fourth picture, yes, I know that this animal would be the most favorite animal of most of us, as we know that he is the most loyal animal on the earth. So, dogs guard our homes. Fifth picture is of bees, and bees give us honey. Sixth and the last picture is of earthworms. They turn the earth and make it more fertile. That more fertile land is more useful for farming and growing crops. Now, before reading the story, I want to tell you a little about the story. A Stormy Day is an extract taken from Black Beauty written by Anna Swell. It is a fascinating story of the life of a black horse named Beauty. In this extract, Beauty takes his master, Mr. Douglas Gordon, and his caretaker, John, on a trip. There had been a storm and it was very windy. On their way home, as they arrive at a wooden bridge across the river, Beauty refuses to move ahead. Just then, the man in charge of the toll bridge informs them that the bridge is broken in the middle. Both Mr. Gordon and John appreciate Beauty's instincts and are thankful to him for saving their lives. This story is taken from the novel Black Beauty about a horse called Beauty. The story is told by the horse himself, starting with his young days right up to his happy retirement. One day, Beauty is carrying his kind and loving master, Mr. Douglas Gordon, and his groom, John, on a carriage. The evening turns stormy. Now let's read on to find out what happens on the way. So, as you just read, you got to know that the story belongs to a horse whose name is Beauty. And Beauty is taking his master, whose name is Mr. Douglas, and his groom, whose name is Mr. John, on a carriage. In the evening, it turns stormy. And then what happens next is the story. So let's read it. One day late in autumn, my master had to go on a long journey. I was put up into the dog cart. Dog cart means a two-wheeled horse-driven cart. And John went with my master. I always liked to go in the dog cart. It was light and the high wheels ran along pleasantly. There had been a great deal of rain and now the wind was very high and blew the dry leaves across the road in a shower. We went along merrily till we came to the toll bar. Toll bar is a gate where one has to pay tax before going further, and a low wooden bridge. The river banks were rather high, and the bridge, instead of rising, went across just level. If the river was full, the water would nearly be up to the woodwork and planks in the middle, but as there were strong rails on each side, people did not mind. The man at the gate said the river was rising fast and he feared it would be a bad night. Many of the meadows were under water, and in one low part of the road, the water was halfway up to my knees. But the master drove gently, so it was no matter. This story is being narrated by the horse himself, whose name is Beauty. He said that he liked to go in the dog cart as it was light and high wheels ran along pleasantly. Three of them, Mr. Douglas, Mr. John, and Beauty himself, were enjoying the journey till they reached to the toll bar and the low wooden bridge. The weather was turning stormy, and the river banks were high. The men at the toll bar told them about the rising level of the river, and he feared that it would be a bad night. Beauty mentioned that in one low part of the road the water was halfway to his knees, but the master drove gently, so it did not matter to him. As the master's business in the city kept him busy for long, we did not start for home till rather late in the afternoon. The wind was then much higher, and I heard the master say to John that he had never been out in such a storm. As we went along the skirts of a wood, where the great branches were swaying about like twigs, and the rushing sound was terrible, I also thought the same. I wish we were well out of this forest, said the master. Yes, sir, said John. It would be rather awkward if one of these branches came down upon us. The words were scarcely out of his mouth when there was a groan and a crack and a spitting sound. Torn up by the roots, an oak tree came tearing, crashing down, and it fell right across the road just before us. I will never say I was not frightened, for I was. I stopped still, and I believe I trembled. Of course, I did not turn around or run away. John jumped out and was in a moment by my side. That was a very near touch, said my master. What's to be done now? Well, sir, we can't drive over that tree nor get round it. There will be nothing for it but to go back. So back we went and round by the crossroads. But by the time we got to the bridge, it was very nearly dark. We could just see that the water was over the middle of it. But as that happened sometimes when the river was flooding, master did not stop. We were going along at a good pace, but the moment my feet touched the first part of the bridge, I felt sure that there was something wrong. I dared not to go forward and made a sudden stop. Mr. Douglas' work kept him busy for so long, so they couldn't start for home till rather later in the afternoon. He told John that he had never been out in such a storm. As they went along the edge of a small forest, the master said that he wished they were well out of this forest. To that John approved and said that it would be more dangerous if any one of those swaying branches fall on them. The master hardly could say anything when there was a groan and a crack and a spitting sound. An oak tree, torn up by the roots, fell right across the road before them. Beauty himself was frightened and shook from fear, but he did not turn around or run away. John jumped out and in a moment was by Beauty's side. Mr. Douglas said that That was a very lucky escape. The master asked what could be done then. As John suggested, that neither could they drive over that tree nor got round it because it was not safe. So they went back and round by the place where two roads cross each other. By the time they got to the bridge, it was very dark, and they could only see that the water was over the middle of that. Sometimes, when the river was flooding, Master did not stop, but the moment Beauty's feet touched the first part of the bridge, he felt that there is something wrong and dared not go forward and made a sudden stop. "Go on, Beauty," said my master, but I dared not stir. "There is something wrong, sir," said John, and he sprang out of the dog cart and came by my side and looked all about. He tried to lead me forward. "Come on, Beauty, what's the matter?" Of course, I could not tell him, but I knew very well that the bridge was not safe. Just then, the man at the toll gate on the other side ran out of the house, tossing a torch about like someone mad. "Hoi, hoi, hoi, hello! Stop!" he cried. "What's the matter?" shouted my master. "The bridge is broken in the middle, and part of it is carried away. If you come on, you will be into the river." "Thank God," said my master. "You, Beauty?" said John, and took the bridle and gently turned me round to the right-hand road by the river side. The sun had set some time. The wind seemed to have lulled off after the furious blast which tore up the tree. It grew darker and darker, stiller and stiller. I trotted quietly along, the wheels hardly making a sound on the soft road. For a good while neither Master nor John spoke, and then Master began in a serious voice. I could not understand much of what they said, but they thought if I had gone on as the Master wanted me, most likely the bridge would have given way under us, and horse, cart, master, and men would have fallen into the river. As the current was flowing very strongly, and there was no light and no help at hand, it was more than likely we should all have been drowned. Master instructed Beauty to go ahead, but he did not dare to stir. John looked for the matter that stopped Beauty and cheered him to go forward. He asked for the matter. To that, of course, Beauty couldn't answer as he was just an animal only. But he did not move as he knew that there was something wrong with the bridge and it was not safe. Just then, the men at the toll gate cried to stop them, tossing a torch, and told the master that the bridge was broken in the middle. The master thanked God and got startled that Beauty stopped them from going on that broken bridge and saved them from drowning. Master said God had given men reason by which they could find out things for themselves, but he had given animals knowledge which did not depend on reason and which was much more prompt and perfect in its way, and by which they had often saved the lives of men. John had many stories to tell of dogs and horses and the wonderful things they had done. He thought people did not value their animals half enough nor make friends of them as they ought to do. I am sure he makes friends of them better than any other man. Now, let's read a little about the author of the story, Anna Swell. Anna Swell was born in England. Her family did not have enough money to send her to school, and so she was taught by her mother at home. When she was 14, she injured her ankles and was unable to walk without help for the rest of her life. Her novel, Black Beauty, is one of the most successful children's novels ever written. She wrote this novel to let people know how important it is to be kind to animals.